Hello, everyone, and welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where artists, apprentices, the collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join in these live streams, real-world events, share, inspire, and ultimately create better art and tattoos. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, we've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. We beam out nearly every day. Yeah. You are currently watching the Sunday afternoon drawing group with me, Jason Leeser. Artists, feel free to zoom in by clicking on the link in the events area posted in the Reinventing the Tattoo community. You may be beaming in from YouTube or Facebook. Maybe you're listening to the podcast. Hey, Gabe. But you can always get the latest event schedule and notifications at the official Reinventing the Tattoo community, found at both the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, or directly at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. All Reinventing the Tattoo network shows are jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars. Seriously, all of it can be enjoyed on demand and found in the library, as well as the YouTube channel and the podcast channels. There are countless tattoo and art rabbit holes for you to dive into. It's perfect for the front room of a studio or to entertain your tattoo clients. There's any number of great uses for this. Sometimes I even listen to them in the car while I'm driving. In fact, we're actually beaming out 4 different Reinventing the Tattoo channels, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we're giving away some goodie bags, and all of that can be found at reinventing247.com. We even have a Spanish art jam channel that's also mixed in with that. As far as the goodie bags, we have some Cheyenne cartridges we'll be giving away, some raw pigment samples. And I mean, even one time we were giving away t-shirts. So you never really quite know what you're going to be getting in the goodie bag. We have some weekly staples shows that we always like to encourage people to tune into. For example, Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m., we have the Reinventing Drawing Group with me. And we also have the Tattoo Weekly at 9 p.m. on Sundays as well. And that involves Lauren Gregory, Gabe Ripley, and Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. Mondays, we have the 9 a.m. Monday morning drawing group, where we all like to get together and start the week off right. And then at 9 p.m. Monday evenings, we have a live subscribers only drawing group with Guy Aitchison himself. We always like to try to encourage people to join in that. It's really, really helpful. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. On Tuesdays at 10 a.m., we have a live drawing group with Ricardo Sertivant, a very good friend of mine and an extremely talented tattoo artist, where he will be going over various types of art techniques, for example, working from broad to specific, not really keeping a whole lot of detail in there or getting, so caught up in the nitty gritty of things. That sometimes he goes over charcoal methods, sometimes he goes over different oil painting techniques. You never really quite know what you're getting into when you tune into that, but it's always educational and it's always helpful. Wednesdays at noon, we have the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley, where he discusses various types of tattoo business topics. Thursdays at 12 noon, we have the Tattoo Collecting podcast, where different tattoo collectors from all around the world will tune in and beam in and share some of the stories about how they've collected their collection of tattoos. Thursdays at 7 p.m., we have a fundamental drawing group with Kira. All skill levels are encouraged to join in. You can also catch some of those replays on some of the YouTubes. We've got a few real world events coming up October 3rd through 6th, 2021. We have the Paradise BYOB. We'll be doing some live webcast seminars. We're trying to encourage everyone that wants to attend. You can attend in person and attend these live real world events. Some of them will also be beamed out virtually. For example, the Paradise BYOB. We'll be beaming out all kinds of live on demand seminars. We'll have some live video going, streaming some of the live painting and drawing going on. It's going to be for apprentices. It's for full-time artists. It's for everyone that wants to join in, and it is going to be an absolute blast. November 12th through 14th, we have the Brussels Tattoo Convention. I know myself will be there, Ricardo Sertivant, Gabe Ripley will be there, Nick Baxter, Ivana. We're going to have some live stream seminars. We're going to be doing some exclusive meetups. We'll be having some live art jams. It's going to be an absolutely amazing time from Europe. I can't wait for it. February 5th through 6th, Reinventing the Tattoo will be live from the Red Tree and True Tubes Gallery in Columbus, Ohio, where we will be doing art jams, seminars, and there's plenty more info on the way. May 20th through 22nd in 2022, we have the Hell City Columbus show, which anyone that's ever even looked into it could take a look at the lineup and tell you right off the bat, it's going to be absolutely incredible. July 8th through 10th, 2022, we have the Rock River Tattoo Art Expo with different Reinventing the Tattoo track artists. We're gonna have some seminars, and it's super convenient to get to from anywhere in the world. July 29th through 31st in 2022, we have the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational in Akron, Ohio with Tony Urbanek, master machine builder. And it's official. October 20th through 23rd, we have the Paradise Tattoo Gathering back up in full swing with all different types of seminars and panels, art jams, and it's looking like it's going to be absolutely incredible. It's definitely not an event you're going to want to miss. Would like to take a minute to go through and thank some of the sponsors for helping us get these up and running. World Tattoo Events, which is the go-to place for all of your tattoo convention scheduling, all of your tattoo event needs. It is constantly updated all the time with events all around the globe. I think you can even search by like country, region, or continent now. It's absolutely amazing how they can keep all of this information up to date. Inkjet stencils. If you really want to take your stencil game to another level, inkjet stencils is where to do it. I've used them plenty of times and they're absolutely incredible. Raw pigments, tapping into the source of the actual tattoo pigments. It's 100% acrylic free. It's vegan friendly. It is absolutely incredible. If you like using more old school powder based pigments, you are going to absolutely love these. The color lays right in. The black and gray is silky smooth every time. The blacks are some of the darkest blacks I've ever used. It's absolutely incredible. Who else do we have? Dermalize and Delize Pro in the US. If you're still using cling wrap, maybe it's time to upgrade. Dermalize and Delize Pro are actually designed to help heal your tattoo. They're designed to be microporous, so it's going to keep out all types of foreign contaminants, but it's still going to allow your tattoo to breathe and get the oxygen that it needs in order to heal itself. If you're really trying to take care of your tattoos, that's exactly what you need to use. TattooNow.com, the leader in tattoo technology. It is also the leading edge in SEO and professional development for tattooers of all levels. They're now taking on new clients, by the way. Absolutely incredible. If you're looking for any kind of on-demand seminars, I know that they still have plenty of them there. If you're looking to have a website built, talk to them. It's absolutely incredible what they can do and how they can really help you reach a new target audience and really expand your clientele base. They are absolutely phenomenal. And last but not least, tattoo education and the founder of this Reinventing the Tattoo community, Guy Aitchison at guyaitchison.com. where you can go through and you can buy all types of amazing original artwork. You can buy prints. He even has some tattoo machines for sale, DVDs, seminars. If you're really looking to educate yourself further and really help expand your knowledge base into the tattoo world, you can't find a better resource than tattooeducation.com or guyaitchison.com. It is packed full of all of the information you could ever want or need to really, really push yourself to be a better artist and a better tattooer. So special thank you out there to Ricardo Sertivant, Bruno. I think, Bruno, you're still watching. Thank you very much, man. You are always a constant inspiration. Kira, you are always inspiring me and helping me to learn new things. It's absolutely incredible how just meeting different members on this community can really help change, you know, your complete and total mindset in tattooing, right? As much as tattooing is a very solitary thing, it's the people that we meet in these communities, such as this little like subgroup that I started to become a part of called the Horsemen. It's completely changed my outlook on a lot of different things. And it's really helped push me to be not only a better tattooer, but a better artist and a better person. And I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you very much. Now that the intros are all out of the way, let's see who we have on here. Looks like we got Bruno with us. Hey, Bruno.
Jason, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, man?
Here, man. Pretty good. Working on a cool piece here with my client, Vince.
Awesome. How's it going, Vince?
Hello.
How are you today, man?
Look, man. Let's see what you're working on. Oh, dude.
See if I can get it. So yeah, we're starting to get to like some of the lighter tones now.
Very nice.
But we're gonna add like the whole body to it on the next session.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just kind of focusing on the face, and eventually, on the next session, actually, we're gonna get started with the body, going all the way down to the ankle. So yeah, awesome. Man, fun piece.
Also, everyone that's tuning in, regardless of where you're tuning in from, I would like to ask you all, drop us a note, write us a comment or in the chat box. Let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always nice to know that, you know, we're reaching out to people in different places of the world. Looks like we have someone tuning in from Jakarta, Indonesia. Hello from Iran. Wow. We've got people from all over tuning in today. Nice. Hello from Indonesia. Hello. Yeah, it's always amazing just to see how much of an outreach there really is in the tattoo community itself.
Yeah,
and I'm actually going to switch over to my Minicam. Yay. Because OBS keeps, yes. OBS keeps being difficult with me, so I'm going to switch back over. I'm trying out a new camera setup today, everyone, so if things go a little wonky, that's probably why, just letting you know in advance. We got someone that just joined us from Brazil. It's amazing. You know, it's incredible how technology has really helped, you know, shrink the tattoo world as a whole, if that makes any sense. Right? Because I mean, we've got people, Terry just joined us from Oregon on the Facebook. Hey, Terry, you know, it's amazing how we can all get together using this technology to really just help bring each other like up to a brand new level. Right.
Yeah, man. It kind of makes, you know, like the tattoo family, you know, like world family, right? Like kind of brings everyone together, and Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty cool thing that wasn't as available as it is today, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, man.
Looks like we had Ali join us from Cyprus. That's awesome. That's like across the globe. But yeah, it's, it's absolutely incredible how, when we decide that, we want to get out of our little rabbit hole and, actually go and explore the world and go and see what other artists are doing around the world, how much that can actually influence our existence as tattooers. I mean, a perfect example. Let's look at Atomic. He's out in Georgia. He's been tuning in quite regularly. How's it going? Welcome back to another episode. It's amazing how we all kind of feed off of each other and we feed off the creativity and how it can really influence and change everything that we do, no matter where we are.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like not too long ago, we were hanging out with Ashkai, and he was in India, and kind of, yeah, like getting inspired, like you said, by the little things that he might be doing over there on the other side of the world, and having an opportunity to share like that.
Right. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, he's literally, he would stay up until what, 2 or 3 in the morning just to join us,
That's right. That's right.
which I never thought I would meet anyone that I would have that kind of an impact on or that kind of an influence. Like, but it's amazing. So Ali just asked a question. She said, "Are you planning for a tour in Europe?" I would love to do that. I've got quite a few friends that live and work over in Europe. And we will actually be over in Brussels at the Brussels Tattoo Convention. If you'd like to meet us over there, you're always more than welcome to. I'm actually talking to a few friends of mine as well that are from Europe, seeing if they're going to be attending that, just to see, what people are into and what people are doing. I'd love to do some live broadcasting while I'm over there, and I think it's going to be a great time. Jerry just joined us from Newfoundland, Canada, and yeah, welcome, Jerry. Welcome. Let's see if I can get this video camera set up so that I can do my overhead shot. Don't know if I can do that today. This is the blessing and the curse of technology, right? You never know if things are ever going to work the way that you think.
Yep, they take a little getting used to. That's for sure. But that's exciting though. New equipment, it's always fun. It's like a new toy.
Well, I mean, that's what I like to think, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, let's try to do this, right? Let's see what we can do. Oh, Ali, are you going to be at the Brussels show? If you are, just write a comment down on the Facebook page. I'd love to sync up and, sit and talk to you for a little bit.
Sounds like that convention is going to be amazing, man.
Yeah, that's it's going to be a great time. Let's see. Okay, and this. And then here's that. Yeah, I've been trying to get this new video setup working right, but it's turning out to be a little bit more tricky than I thought. But then again, most things always end up being a little bit more tricky in the beginning, right? Until you get used to them.
Exactly.
Let's see if I can do.
Jason, have you ever read a book about analyzing handwriting?
What's that?
Have you ever read a book about analyzing handwriting?
No.
So I found one the other day that I think you might be interested in. It discusses like people's moods and what they may be going through with stuff like just by angle of which they write, just by speed of which they write. Determining a lot of little odd factors of the in the moment.
Cool,
I thought
man.
it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely give it a look. See, just shoot me a message and send it to me, and I'll take a look.
Cool.
How's it going, Atomic?
Let's do that. This, we can do this. Cool.
It looks just like a buddy of mine's boxer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like identical little facial pattern.
Yeah, this guy's his name is Brooklyn. Yeah, man, boxers are good looking.
So this is actually a painting I'm going to be getting started on pretty soon. I'm still kind of working on another painting that I have, that I've got going on, but let's see if I can turn this up a little bit. This way I can actually see what I'm doing too. Of course, the light input is terrible, but.
Yo, what up, Jason?
What's up, Jason?
Yo, hey guys, how's it going?
Hey,
We got Ricardo and Lauren here, spotlighting you guys.
from the convention.
You made it out of Philadelphia roaming alive, huh?
Yeah, that's awesome. Give us a little bit of a tour. Ricardo is coming to us live from the Tattoo Collectors Expo down in Texas.
Good time.
Yeah,
Hanging out
yeah.
with Lauren and Gregory down here
Yep.
at the Raw Pigment booth. Fucking amazing.
Yeah, I was using some of those yesterday, and I was like, why do I even bother trying anything else?
Dude,
Yeah.
seriously, man. We love it. Let me show you around real quick.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. I mean, you're right here. You can see it. That's crazy.
So here's our booth. There's Lauren. Say hello. We got all the ink set out. We had a pretty good time with this, putting them all in order. There's a huge range of colors here.
He's okay.
Look at that.
Isn't that crazy looking?
Damn.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, man. There's a guy up on the stage doing magic and comedy right now.
Awesome.
The whole setup of the booth. It's a huge space on here, man. Everybody here has been super friendly. The vendors and all the guys running the show have been awesome to all of us. It's been crazy. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I needed a massage table, which I need to pick one of those up, Jason, those travel ones. And another lady that's tattooing down here, like offered her table up for me, man. And the vendor helped me find one. It was awesome. We just met and he totally helped me out. It was great. It's
That's
fucking
amazing.
cool to be around people like that, yeah. And everybody here at Raw has been awesome to us. So we're having a good time.
Great. Are you guys just getting started for the day?
Yeah, we're just getting started for the day. Lauren's setting up right now for some of her streaming that she can be doing tonight on the what is the name of the show? Yeah, the Sunday night show. Yeah,
Tattoo Weekly?
that's the one, Tattoo Weekly, right. I can never remember the name of the show. I just tune in. I just make sure that when my alert goes off, my notification goes off, I'm like, all right, I'm there.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Yeah, so she's setting up.
Do you have the opportunity to give us a little bit of a walking tour?
Yeah, for sure. Let's go and walk through here, man.
Nice.
See what we can do. There's some really phenomenal artists down here. I'm sorry, dude. Really phenomenal artists down here. Some supply companies here. They're blowing some glass here on the corner. Maybe we can send some photos over to RIT a little bit later so you guys can see the flames.
This one's gonna be a
We
lot.
got some booze.
Can't have a tattoo convention without plenty of that.
No, sir. There's the aisles. It's early in the morning. There's already been people here since 9 a.m. tattooing. Sometimes finishing some of the projects they were starting on yesterday. We even got a bounce house over here too, which is awesome.
What?
Yeah,
All right, I'm jealous.
yeah, totally, man. There's some killer black and gray going on over here in the corner. Texas has its own unique style of traditional and black and gray.
It really does.
It's awesome to walk around and talk to all the artists and pick their brains about it. All the artists here have been like super open, super awesome. There's Yalzi getting tattooed right now.
Yalzi!
Yeah, I'm not gonna interrupt him right now. He likes to
Yeah, he gets into the zone sometimes, man.
Yeah, but it's cool that that artist is getting to work on him. I'm sure he's humbled by Yalzi getting tattooed by him. You know.
Yeah, how many people is he up to now? 150? Well, this would probably be 151 different artists.
Yeah, I believe so. So you were talking to him in Gettysburg, and he had mentioned something about carrying around
A list.
a list of it, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he carries around an actual legitimate list of people that he's been tattooed by.
Mhm.
And I think it's amazing. The fact that, you know, he's been tattooed by that many people that he actually has to carry a list.
Yeah. It is amazing. It means that he holds it true that much more. Yeah, it's really cool that people are starting to get back out now, man. We're all starting to like join in back into society again. So I remember what it's like to be human. And it's been fun traveling around this year. We're getting ready to do another Villain Arts tattoo convention here pretty soon in Philadelphia with Jason and Kier. It's gonna be awesome. So it's the same venue that runs the show, so it's gonna be a good time, man. Everybody's cool. There's a young lady here that just helped me out with that table yesterday, as a matter of fact. Yeah, she was awesome. She's awesome. Yeah. It's so cool how everybody can, like, you know, be healthy competition for each other, but help each other out at the same time. If you forgot something, everybody's there to offer you up whatever they have for you. It's a great environment.
Right. And I think that's a major thing too, right? It's all about the healthy competition. It's all about pushing each other to do better and to really be better artists. You know, I mean, at least that's what I've always found is that
I agree.
you know, that is one of the biggest things that I look for personally. Is like, okay, who's gonna push me? Who's going to make me be a better artist? Right?
Yeah, man. I agree completely. I think it's definitely what pushes you. It's definitely one of those other things that you can do for learning to grow a little bit more. Being humbled by somebody else, like, you know, you putting your all into it and then beating you out and understanding what it was that happened there. It's awesome. It's an amazing thing. As a matter of fact, that happened to me yesterday. I was putting my all into a tattoo that I had my own drawing on, and we took our time. I took all my time. I was crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's, and we put them in the competition. The judges looked at it and just walked away. But so it's okay though. And it was awesome to see one, because the tattoo of the day was an amazing, bright color piece, and I could understand exactly what they were doing with that whole deal. You know.
Well, and I think it's something that's very important to mention is that, you know, especially when you go to some of these bigger shows, right? Like the Tattoo Collectors Expo, the Philadelphia Tattoo Convention, you know, Hell City. Like if you enter a piece into any of that, you have to understand you were literally going up against some of the top tier people in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so you need to bring your A game, number one. But number two, if you get beat out, you can't really be upset about it, right? Because you're literally facing some of the best artists in the world at what they do. You know,
Yeah.
These guys are well known for a reason. They've been doing it so long. They've literally mastered the art of doing what they do. And that to me is, it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I'd put my stuff up there against theirs. And you know what? Even if I didn't win, to know that my stuff was going up against it, that's an honor, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely the best way to look at it, man. Like, you got beat up by some of the best guys in the world. You know what I mean? And you actually have the opportunity to kind of be up on the same stage with them. It's amazing. And like the things that you can learn in that moment is incredible. So I agree with you completely. It's healthy to be that way. So, man, there's a lot of different art here. It's pretty cool. A lot of different merchandise.
Yeah, it looks like it.
A lot of different approaches, and of course another bar. So you gotta love that. I personally didn't partake in any after hours parties or anything like that here this weekend. Feeling pretty good about it though. Still getting to meet everybody. Didn't have to get all crazy. I feel good today too. It's on the third day. Normally, back in the day when I used to attend these things, by the third day I'd be like, "Oof, I'm ready to call it a damn day." But I'm pretty energized right here. Yeah, he's performing right now. He's been doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, is he sawing anyone in half?
Oh, nothing like that. But he was like putting one razor in his mouth and all of a sudden coming out with like a string of razors somehow. I have no idea how he did it.
Maybe he swallowed them earlier. I've actually got a pretty graphic story about something like that, but it's not exactly for the faint of heart, so I'll share it with you offline. Yeah, it's one of those stories that like you think you hear about, like all of the stuff that goes on in certain places and whatnot, and then you hear a story like this and you're like, wow, that's really messed up.
Yep.
So, but I'll share that with you guys at another time, because that's not exactly YouTube appropriate in my opinion.
Probably not. We can do it.
Yeah, you gotta be curious.
We're in Philadelphia area. Why don't you come hang out with us? When is that, Jason? About
That would be September 9th through 12th.
Yeah.
And it is I'll also be doing a guided tour of the Muter Museum the Monday afterwards, which is a museum of medical oddities located here in Philadelphia. We'll be heading out to the Philadelphia Art Museum, the Rodin Museum, and the Barnes Foundation as well. So it's going to be an absolutely amazing time where I get to show you guys around my neck of the woods.
I can't wait for that, man. It's gonna be great. I know the couple times that I've been in your area, it's been very fast. We hit the ground running right away. Same thing with, you know what I mean? So it'd be cool to be able to like go and visit and stuff like that too. I like what we did at Bruno's down in Florida. It was awesome down there. We went to like an outside museum. That was amazing. I have stuff all over my face. Look at that. You know.
Way to go.
Yeah. But, well, you know, I'm going to let you guys get back to it, man. Hello, everybody. I know it's kind of loud here. I just wanted to drop in and say hello. And thank you again, Jason, for everything. Bruno, all you guys. It's been a huge,
thank you, man.
A huge determining factor in me being here at this very moment with this company and with these people. And it's incredible, man. I can't even describe it.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you very much for the tattoo. Sure. All right, guys. Well, stay tuned. We'll be dropping in some stuff a little later this evening. I hope you guys all have a good day.
All right, you do the same, man. You take care.
Have a great one, man.
Cool. That was pretty awesome. Got a little bit of a live view from the Tattoo Collectors Expo. And I'm trying something a little bit different right now. Looks like it's working pretty well. I'm actually working on an image of a snake, which I'm probably going to end up turning into a new business card. or maybe I'll tattoo it on someone. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to go through. I've been working on it little by little for a while. You know, and especially when you're working on stuff like this, and I think I'm going to stick to like a nice little like halo line around that. So I'll put that on another layer. And that's probably going to be blocking this part. You know, I think it's a pretty critical thing when you start to look at foreground and background interaction in any kind of a design. And especially when you have certain places that you really want to push forward, you know, you got to make sure that they're in the right spot. I think I originally used these orange disc areas for more of like a flower, maybe throwing like a peony or chrysanthemum or something like that in the background. I don't know if I'm still going to do that now or not.
I really like the movement of that snake, man.
Yeah, dude, it's something I've been
card.
toying around with for a little bit, and you know, it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do with it, right?
Right. Yeah, badass, like full leg sleeve too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd love to take it. I mean, even if I got to rearrange the tail a little bit, but imagine using like some kind of a layout, like, see if I can pull up. So imagine having like all of this being more or less like an upper torso piece.
Uh-huh.
Right, maybe not quite. There we go. Having it kind of loop down underneath an arm. You know, something kind of like that. Like a full-on side piece.
Right, yeah.
Like a full panel, right. Man. Full panel.
Yeah, you're right about the side piece, bro.
You know, you could have it more formatted for a leg and it could work, especially if you like shrunk the image down and maybe did it as like, you know, a thigh onto a calf. That could work, or even like a hip onto a thigh could work as like a much bigger piece. You know, so I mean, I think a lot of it ultimately depends on the placement and then any kind of flow that you would put into the background.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yep.
Because I mean, you've got some pretty natural flowing movement with the body of the snake. I think it ultimately just depends on, you know, where would your client want it? And then how would you have to size it and what kind of background would you need to put with it in order to make that work?
Exactly. And let me ask you, Jason, like, let's say that, you know, finish this design and get it ready for like, you know, for it to be, you know, a side piece, right? Like we're talking about. And what would you do to try to kind of see about having somebody get it done? Would you turn to like your clients first, like your current clients that you know that might be interested in something like that, or how would you go about trying to, you know, get somebody to get it done?
So there's two general ways that you can really try to market what you're doing to a, oh, that's flipped. There we go. Let's flip this. Sorry, I'm just trying to talk to the camera and not have.
No, I feel you, man. Multitasking.
Yep, multitasking is crazy. So there's two general different ways that you can go about marketing your artwork to actually do the pieces that you really want to do the most. This is coming from my experience with different things. You know, it's it's something that I found to be very helpful. I was having a discussion with my friend Clement out in Malaysia about a year ago, and we were talking about, marketing for larger clientele, marketing for bigger pieces. If you really want to do a back piece, how would you go about like really trying to get people to come in to get that?
Right.
One thing that I've always found to be beneficial, and this is one of the many methods you can do, is I call it the field of dreams methodology and mentality, right? So if you draw it, they will come.
Right.
Draw it out as big as you want to do it. Take that drawing, pin that up on a cork board in the studio you work at. Inevitably, one of your clients is going to come in and say, wow, that's amazing. I want to get that done.
Right.
That'll happen. Right.
Totally.
And if you draw it and if people see what you're capable of doing and you let that be known on an existing clientele basis, because that's generally how you're going to get a lot more people that are going to be willing to get a lot of larger scale work, is through existing clientele. They might not know it right away, but usually speaking, your existing clients, the ones that already have plenty of tattoos, those are the ones that are most likely to go through and say, you know what? Yeah, let's, instead of just doing like some small little guys, let's go through, let's really start working on a bigger project,
Right.
And it usually takes people a little bit of time to work up to that.
Sure. And to know that they're gonna feel comfortable with the artist that they're working on for a larger scale piece and so on, right? Like so many little things, but that ultimately one of your clients is gonna be that match.
Right. So that's one methodology, is market it to your local existing clientele and just have it pinned up in the studio where other people can see it. The other approach is the social media approach. You can have like a little Instagram story pinned to your profile where you can go through and start to really advertise some of the custom stuff that you really want to do. Now, what's going to end up happening when you do that is that you're going to get a lot of people that are going to turn around and say, oh, I love that, but I only want that this big and I want it on my forearm.
Exactly.
Or, I really like that, but I would want that on, say, the inside of my left calf, right? So they're not necessarily, they're going to want to change the placement. They're going to want to change the size. They're going to want to change things of that nature so that way they can go through, because most people aren't going to want to dive right into a huge side piece or a big old back piece or a full sleeve or a full upper body piece, right? They're not going to really want to dive right into that. So what you want to do is, basically let it be known like, hey, listen, the reason why this looks so good in this drawing that I did is because of how big it is and where it's placed on, say, the outline of a body that I just drew on there for size and placement, right? So that's it. A lot of times artists will tailor whatever design they're drawing to a specific body area.
For sure.
And the reason being is because they're formatting it and getting it to fit and flow properly to that specific area. And it's going to have all of those elemental flow design pieces to it.
Very important.
But it's specifically formatted for that body part. So.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to a tattoo, that, like knowing where it's going to go, like you said, the flow and fit, are very important. Like, I have seen tattoos that weren't actually all that well executed, once I looked at them from close, but what they did get right was the flow and the fit, and they look great. It decorated the body really well, and it became evident how important it is, like you can have an awesome looking piece, but if it doesn't, fit the body all that well, doesn't flow all that well with the part of the body that you chose to put it on, like it's gonna lose its appeal. And And even if it's a very highly technical piece, you know?
Right.
So knowing where it's gonna go for sure is important. Like putting together a composition, right, for a tattoo.
Right. Oh, we just had Melissa join us. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
Recovering from a long and fun Friday.
Nice.
Nice.
Well deserved.
Let's
Right?
I'm gonna pin you for a minute. Let's take a look at what you're working on.
It's the same thing I was working on Monday morning. It's just way further along.
Oh, that's coming along great. Now, do you always do full value studies?
No.
And color studies?
So when I'm working with a piece that I'm not entirely sure, like where my light source is coming from or where I want it to hit, or even if I'm just not sure as far as like the coloring. So this is going on someone who's very much into like the Rastafarian type look, and I like working with a lot of bright colors. But considering the size of this piece, I wanted to know where I was going with it.
Gotcha.
And so, like, especially with cover-ups and that kind of thing, I want to know 100%, you know, the general gist of it. So I may start with this, I may darken up somewhere or adjust something somewhere as I'm going. But with this, it's a lot easier when I go into it because all I'm doing is just looking at my reference saying, okay. And the reference is just the completed piece of work. So I don't know if that answers your question. There's a lot of times that I just go through and I do just a line work and, you know, basic, super rough value and roll it. Sometimes I just do line work.
Interesting. Now, do you find that a lot of your clients would prefer to see something more fully rendered, or most of them pretty much, I can imagine, just trust you to do your thing and they know they're going to be happy with it?
Yeah, most of them are perfectly fine with line work. In fact, most of the time I tell them, look, you're going to get line work. That's all you're getting. If I got time for something else and I feel it's necessary on my end, like when I'm going into it, if I feel it's necessary for my benefit, then I'll do it. But I don't do it just for the client benefit.
Gotcha.
Now, I do have some that they have a hard time visualizing it. And so I'll do like a section of it completed so they understand it. But those are usually like super long-term clients that I have no issue investing that kind of time into.
I feel you. Now, do you ever encounter the type of situation where you have someone that is looking to get some things done and they don't really want to set anything up until you have it drawn out, and you know they want to see it fully rendered first, and then they'll probably take a month to sit on it and make changes and probably end up changing their concept about 6 times.
I don't.
Well, I mean, you're an artist. You can just draw this stuff again, can't you?
Yeah, no, I don't give them that option.
Yeah.
I tell them from the get-go with their consultation, look, this is what it is. I'm not drawing anything until there's money down because I've done that before and it screwed me over. It's one of those, you tell me roughly what you like, and when you get the line work, if something needs to be changed from that point forward, then we go for it. But I also forewarn them that if they go a completely different route, I'm probably going to charge them something for my time.
Right.
So it's one of those, I usually will do anywhere between a half hour to an hour and a half consultation, depending on the size of the piece, or like if I think they're swirling around a little bit and they're not 100% sure.
Okay.
Then I will typically ask them way more questions than what's necessary. And it's rare that I have someone who actually needs any kind of changes, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say.
Having a good consultation session is definitely key to avoid those things from happening, which can be very irritating, right? Because we tend to give it our all every single time
Yeah.
that we draw something up, and when they very casually change their mind or forgot to mention a couple things during consultation or whatever,
Like
then
that's why I ask them a boatload of questions. Like there are times where my clients will literally, they'll kind of give me this funny look of like, why are you asking me this weird question? So for an idea as far as that goes, like I ask them, you know, it's a full color piece, and I'm like, is there any color that you absolutely can't stand? And more times than not, they're asked, what colors do you want to include? No. I don't want to base it off of what colors you want to include. I just need to know what colors you don't like. So I ask weird questions sometimes just to get a better feel for the type of person and the type of art that they like.
Yeah, I really like that approach of asking them what colors do you not like. No, I really do like that approach.
It leaves it more open for you as an artist. You know, you're the one that's trained in color theory. You're the one that knows what looks good together. So if you leave it up to them to choose what color something is, unless it's specific to the symbology for them, then typically you're going to get more restricted. Whereas if you just say, hey, if there's a color you really don't like, just let me know.
yeah, it's very true. I found out the hard way, that some clients really don't like certain colors.
Yeah, I've
had
had it like that
client
too.
that- yeah, she was devastated because I used a Bermuda blue. So
What?
as a
I
little
love
bit of
Bermuda
a
blue.
background. It was I had like these magenta flowers I was doing, so just to give it a little contrast, I threw some Bermuda blue in background, and she freaked out. She said that she just hates that color, and yeah, that day I learned. That's a good question to ask. And like you said, then you can take the freedom to make your own decisions according to what you think is best.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky with this piece because it's a cover up. It's a long-term client. I'll be tying it into his chest piece, which I've already been working on for a while. And he was just like, I told him, something in the biomech category. I had him look through a bunch of different references and like stuff to just kind of point out what he liked.
Right.
And from there, it was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm a dragon person and I like Gothic architecture. And he had pointed out some Gothic stuff in there, and he's a reptile fan. So
Yes.
with this piece, it was like just knowing what he liked. And he left it completely open for me. He's like, just cover this damn thing.
Which is always nice.
Yeah. So it left me with a ton of freedom. I actually drew up 2 other versions that weren't really jiving, and then I drew this up just super muddled at first. And I liked the look of it. I liked the flow of it. And that's when I was like, okay, well, this is probably it. But I've got probably over 30 hours drawing into this piece.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just sent him the color work this morning, and he's like, that's freaking epic. I love it.
Yeah, and Akshay joined us on YouTube. Hey, Akshay. Super talented artist out in India.
We were talking about you earlier, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, bud. Melissa, we did have a question that came across wondering what kind of a device you were using.
Okay, so I have an iPad. I have not swapped over entirely yet because of deadlines. I need to learn how to use it. and I've got too many deadlines for stuff that's already been started. So right now I am still working on the Samsung Tab 6. Unfortunately, this particular program is losing support in January, which is why I finally switched over to the iPad. But this is Adobe Sketch.
Okay. Okay.
So I hope that answers the question. I mean, it's going to be something that's not really available within a couple of months. It was hard enough for me getting all my files and stuff imported back over to it until I can get to where I can start using the other.
Now, did you notice a dramatic shift in the type of work that you were producing once you started to work digitally? Or do you feel that the work that you've been doing has pretty much stayed the same, regardless of what medium you're working in?
I would say it's quicker for me to come about to a finalized idea without the hesitation versus traditional. So I started with a tablet around 2 years ago, switching from traditional to digital. And I like that I don't have to, like, if I want to lay something out and I've got object here, and say I've drawn all these things, but I didn't draw them all together on the same sheet. Traditionally, I would have to throw all that onto a light table and jumble it around until it made sense to me. Whereas with this, especially with cover-ups, it's way quicker. I know a lot sooner whether or not something's going to work, and if not, then I can just hit undo.
Right. Okay.
As far as like the style, I wouldn't say it's really changed a whole lot. I was big into charcoal for 17 plus years before I ever started tattooing. And I didn't really mess with color a whole lot. Like, I had the color theory and all that stuff down prior to tattooing, but I just didn't do it. I'm a lot more comfortable with color in tattooing as well as paint versus, I don't know, colored pencil. Colored pencil takes forever.
Yes, it does. I will be the first to agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like 6 years later, I finally finished a whole sheet of flash.
Yeah, 20, 30 hours into drawing something, and you're going, that was the wrong color to put there. Am I going to start over? Nope.
Nope, I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
It's like, well, looks like I'm going to have to use a different red.
It's a lot easier to travel with, too. That's the big thing. You know, I don't have to pack up supplies and take it with me and hope there's enough space for me to spread out. I literally just grab my solar charger, the cords I need, and go.
Yeah, I think the ability to just go through and literally be able to go and draw and do whatever anywhere, you know, I think that's really an awesome thing, you know.
Yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
traveling to different conventions and packing up 2 pads of tracing paper, a pad of drawing paper, different colored pencils and sketch pencils and microns, you know, maybe even a brush or two. And, you know, it was like I had a huge backpack filled with just art stuff. Oh, man, Bruno, that's coming along great, dude. I'm going to spotlight you, Bruno. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just wanted
beautiful.
to show you guys because I think we're going to leave it here and get started with the body on the next one.
Nice, dude.
Nice
Now,
job,
when you lay
man.
down the stencil for the rest of the body, is that going to be, is it all one stencil and then you just only got to the head, or are you actually, is it like a 2-piece stencil? Like, how are you
For the
gonna
body,
stencil the rest of that?
yeah, the body, I already got it all stenciled out. Oh, look, let me click on that for a second. He actually has it here on his phone, so I can show you the body. Yeah. But yeah, I already have it like stenciled out, and yeah, it's pretty much gonna be a one shot. and I know exactly where to tie it up with the head, and I'm just gonna, you know, kind of like map it out, like focus on mapping it out and just putting all the dark and medium tones in there, and then probably having another session to finish the rest of the body.
Right. Just go through and really push and pull the contrast in it.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you know, the most amount of details pretty much gonna stay on the face, you know, just to try to take the attention to it as much as possible once the body's there.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. I've never done
Now,
like a full body dog.
do you mind if I ask you some technical questions about that?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So
You don't
when you were working on that, what would you say your primary groupings were that you used?
of needles?
Yes.
I used a straight 9 liner from
Okay.
Black Claw to. I basically have started to use that instead of like a 9 or 8 round shader.
Right.
And then I was using this 15 Magnum 3 0.30, I think, from it's called Sublime from a
From Quadron?
Quadron. No, yeah, Quadron. And I really like it, man. It blends really nice. And to map it out, like when I had to use like a thin outline for things, I used a hella fine 7 from Black Claw.
Very
And
nice.
that's pretty much it. I think those 3 needles are pretty much the only needles I use for this piece.
That looks incredible, man.
Thank you, man.
Beautiful job.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Very
we've been
nice
working on some other
indentation.
pieces. This is the
Ooh,
first like
baby.
portrait piece we're working on now.
And
But
how
I
much time would
appreciate
you
it,
say
guys.
you've got into it?
We've got like a little under 5 hours here. Yeah.
That's fast, dude.
Yeah, man. You know, I can go back in and tighten up some details, but I think after this we're gonna jump into the body. We're ready. He's ready.
Awesome.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for looking, and I'm gonna get them wrapped up, and it was fun hanging out.
Dude, it's always a pleasure to have you on, Bruno.
Thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure to come by. Melissa, Tomic, you guys have a great day.
Likewise,
Akshay
man.
says,
You too,
killer
man.
piece, Bruno.
Thank you, buddy.
Awesome. Awesome. Tomic, what are you working on, man? Oh, cool. Cool. We can't really hear you. You're gonna have to unmute yourself, but there you go.
It's a little piece I'm doing on the girl across the hall from me.
Cool.
Of course, I messed it up already, so I'm just playing with it.
Right? Yeah, sometimes we get into those very happy little mistakes, and it just allows us to go through and kind of explore certain things and experiment.
Right. How did everybody's Friday go?
My Friday went well.
Yeah. Did y'all do any of the Friday the 13th stuff?
I mean, I personally don't. I don't know if Melissa
I didn't
does.
either, but the rest of the shop pretty much did.
Nah, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I focus on the big stuff. I'm not really a small tattoo kind of person. I figure if I'm gonna spend 20 minutes or more setting up for someone, I want it to be something that's gonna take me some time, you know?
Right.
But to everybody, you know, to each their own. And I know all sorts of people that still do the Friday the 13th stuff, and right on if that's what their jive is, for sure.
Right. Yeah, I used to work at a studio that did those, and you know, small little walk-in street shop. You know, it was fun for a little while, for like a year or two. And then we got hit with 3 Friday the 13th in 1 year. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, a lot of times when we do tattoos at a discounted rate, you know, say for a special or a promotional deal or something along those lines, a lot of times the artists that are doing those special and promo deals, they're losing money per tattoo because the time in which they're working on those little promo tattoos, you know, they could have been working on something that was maybe a bit bigger and a bit more substantial at a standard rate to make more money. So a lot of times they're doing them at a loss. You know, obviously depending on the design in the studio and you know, how much time people are putting into each piece and their standard pricing per piece. And I actually had someone you know, who reached out to me on Facebook and asked me, oh, are you doing any Friday the 13th tattoos? You know, because I'd really like to get something like this done behind my ear. And I said, well, unfortunately, I'm not. And most places that do Friday the 13th, like specials or deals or discounts or whatever, will make you pick from a pre-drawn sheet of designs, right? And they didn't quite understand the concept behind that because they were thinking that it was just, oh, well, you know, they're having a sale. It's like, you know, I'm going to Target or you know, wherever, and they're having a sale on clothing, right? And it's like, but all of their clothing is on sale, so I can mix and match and pick whatever I want. Well, that's not exactly it, right? You know, that's not exactly the way things work. It's not just a flat discount on whatever you want. It's, these are what we're trying to do for this special. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to get anything done. But that's kind of what this special reflects, right? It's a chance for tattooers to go through, draw up some smaller designs that they really want to do, right? And then have the opportunity to do those designs that they really, really want to do. Now, whether or not they're done at a discounted price, that's up to the individual artist in the studio. When I used to do the Friday the 13th specials, I would have, you know, a series of differing designs that I really wanted to do that maybe other people in the studio didn't want to do. And that was fine. You know, I had like my own little sheet, and if someone came in and wanted something on that, cool, right? And then I would end up taking them instead of everyone else that might have been in line waiting for hours. And they would turn around and ask me like, well, why are they cutting in line? Like, why are they getting to go before me? And it's like, oh, they're going to this guy because he drew up these, right? Next thing you know, I would end up with my own separate line going out the door. And it's, you know, it ended up being one of those situations where it wasn't really fair to a lot of other artists.
Right. And
You know,
we
so
did
you
that a couple
have to
different
take that
ways
into
like that.
consideration.
Right. And this last time, well, Friday, they ended up doing like a dartboard thing. If you were going to get the discount, you just threw a dart. What you landed on is what you got.
See, I like being able to give people that kind of a choice where they can go through and they have the option to choose, you know, granted it's a smaller selection of designs, but then they still feel like they have that choice, you know, mostly just because like I'm terrible at darts. I know this. Like most of the time, if I throw a dart at a board, it's not hitting the board at all. So it's like, what do you do in that case? Do you just keep throwing darts until you hit something? Even if there's designs up there that you absolutely do not want, right?
Yeah.
But knowing my luck, I would throw a dart and it would land on the design I absolutely did not want at all.
On a tampon.
Yeah, seriously. Like I've seen some crazy things drawn up for Friday the 13th deals, right? And some of them are just like so like you have got to be out of your mind to get that tattooed. Like there's someone out there that would want it, cool. Yeah. But like most people in the world probably would not want that tattooed on them. So why are you going to force someone to get it if they throw a dart and it lands on it?
Well, see, and now they would let you retry if you hit something you really didn't like. You know, they were given leeway to it, but it's still not something like I ended up booked out anyway. I had some out of towners that were coming in, and I was like, "Yep, y'all can book my whole day. Y'all can just split it up. We'll run it that way."
Right, right,
It worked out fine for me, but everybody else, I just seen the struggle on their face. I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I didn't have to do that."
right. Hey, Rod, welcome.
Hey, Jason. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. What are you working on? Mind if we take a
I'm-
look?
No, it's a drawing that I did when I went to I started when I went to sit down in the area where I live and just
Oh,
draw
wow,
Oh,
the
man.
shit.
street. Yeah, thanks. So I'm trying to get this done. It's just one, just for fun, and I don't know, just trying to chip away at it a little bit. Yeah. Can you see it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's
good.
awesome, man.
All right. Cool,
Great
man.
use of perspective.
Yeah, for
Thanks.
sure.
Thanks. Yeah, there was two perspectives, or I mean, two what's it called, vanishing points, because it was going downhill. I was
Right.
facing downhill, so the buildings were on one, and the ground was on one. It was kind of weird, but yeah, cool though. It worked out. It's working out. Yep. Yeah.
Very
How are you guys?
nice.
How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well,
Awesome.
man. Doing pretty well.
Oh, good. Good. Excellent. What are you working on there? I saw one with snake.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just throwing around some ideas. I'm
Yeah,
debating
there it is.
on designing a new business card.
Oh, nice.
My business cards as of right now are great, but I like to update them every few years and just try to keep things a little bit more current with, the type of things that I'm really enjoying doing, and just try to
Awesome.
revamp it so that people can, if you look at the business cards I've done over the past, I don't know, 10 years or so,
Mhm.
I would always try to come out with a new one every year. So it was almost like looking at the progress of the work that I've done.
Oh, that's
Right.
awesome. Mhm.
And then people could come in and I could actually date when they originally got that card based off of the artwork that was on the card.
Oh, you can keep track. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Nice. That's cool,
It's
man.
like someone might turn around and say, "Oh, I have your card. I picked it up at a show," and it's like, "Cool, let me see the card," and I can tell you exactly what year that was from.
Oh, that's
Right.
cool. Mhm.
So but I've been using the same card for the past few years. So I think it's about
Uh-huh.
time to get some new ones made. So I'm
That's
just
fun. Making a
I'm
card
playing
design.
around with it. I might, if I do something like this, I'll probably end up cropping out part of the area. Because business cards have a really weird size format.
Oh, that's
So
right. That's right.
I'd
Yeah.
probably end up cropping some of it down. And I always like to do gold leaf on my business cards. I just think it's like super fancy and people really like it.
That is
So
cool.
once you get that design finalized, it then turns around and you have to ask yourself, okay, if I'm going to go with gold leaf, what's going to be gold? Right? Because if you're starting out with a line drawing, could be anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's always interesting to go and play around with that a little bit. I always like snakes. It's kind of my default go-to whenever I just can't figure out what else to draw. So
Yeah. I noticed you drawing snakes a few different times here. It's cool. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, snakes and flowers are kind of the go-to. So
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I like the way the scales are drawn on snakes with the pattern. It's cool to try and figure that out. I never really did great at it, but it's something that is like a challenge to get those scales to curve around and not be messed up. It's pretty cool.
yeah. So there's actually a little trick that I started to use a few years ago that really made drawing scales super easy.
Okay.
And anyone that's out there that's ever had problems drawing scales, maybe this can help you.
All right. I want to try it.
All right. So, I mean, generally start off with whatever twisty body layout you have.
Okay.
There are a lot of people that'll use what's known as a grid method, and they'll actually draw, a very flat looking kind of grid to kind of grid things out, following a standardized curve of the snake, and then they'll bisect that, and then they'll draw parallel lines that go all the way down the body, and then they'll kind of go through and fill in each individual scale. And that does work well. It just, I couldn't stand doing it that way because to me, it just took so long.
Mhm.
I just started to ask myself, like, there's got to be a better, easier way to do this, right? There
Okay.
has to be, right? So I started really looking at some things, and I started looking at, scales on snakes and things of that nature, and really looking at the way that they were formatted, right? And I started to notice something that caught my eye, and that was diagonal lines.
Uh-huh.
So, like, if you're going through and you're really looking at snakes, you'll notice these kinds of diagonal lines that follow the flow and the form of every snake with every scale pattern that they have, right?
Ah,
So when you follow these directional lines, which you can see in any snake in nature too, which is kind of what I came up with, you'll see that, and then you'll see it almost like cross-hatched,
I see. Okay.
right? And
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there,
yeah.
it's as easy as rounding things out and adding a little bit of detail here and there. But it's
All right.
getting those lines to flow properly with the direction of the snake. That was always
Okay.
the tricky part to it, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So I started going through with like an S curve, as opposed to just like a standard curved line,
Oh, I see. Okay.
right?
It looks like maybe the S curve around when the snake curves, it
Correct.
is a lot of an S curve, maybe. Okay.
So I'll start out here and then curl it up and back over. So it's just a tiny little flick if it's got a almost like a very long curve,
Ah,
but
all
in
right.
shorter curved areas like here, this is where you can really see it the most, because you'll start out with a nice loose curve and then just kind of bring it down.
Oh, I
So it's
see.
very subtle, but it is there.
Oh, just the end there. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, always trying to get them to fade off in different spots was always like, okay, well, how am I going to get this to look right? And then the only problem with using this method is that sometimes you won't have a single scale line up with like the back ridge, like here.
Mm,
See how
okay.
this doesn't really line up perfectly?
You mean with the flat
Maybe I would
part?
want to go back through and redraw that.
Oh, okay.
But the trick to getting that everything lined up in that aspect, just draw some X's.
All right. All right.
This way, that everything's going to line up exactly where it needs to be. So I know if I've
Cool.
got this curve should actually curve in this direction a little bit more. This guy would
Oh,
come down in this direction.
okay. Yeah, I see the X's. Okay.
This way, for a fact you have one consistent ridge line going down the middle of the back.
Watching his whole scale pattern. He builds his scales.
And then for the alternating line, that would be where your crosshatch would come into play.
Yeah.
But I always start out drawing snakes as essentially just three-dimensional tubes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that
So
way
a
you
cylinder.
can exactly.
Yeah.
I know one guy that actually used to go out and he used to get some wiring conduit from like Home Depot or Lowe's, like the aluminum kind or the plastic kind. And he would
That's a
sit
great
that
idea.
down and move that around for every individual way.
That's
And
clever.
then
Yep.
because they have ridges that go all the way around them, so that would create that kind of a cylindrical pattern and give him a grid line to line up with everything. It was
Right.
like a little life hack that he showed me, and it blew my mind.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. Well, I'm giving it a shot here. We'll see how it goes. I got the pattern. I don't know if it's going to look good or not.
Yeah, I think I actually turned the opacity down, but you can see how with every part of this snake, I actually went through and did like a blue grid line already.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
You know, and you can see how the purple in this area overlays it and how all of these scales match up with this blue grid line that I drew on there. Same thing
Mhm.
over here, and especially on the head of the snake. You know, I love little areas like this that are just really, they've got a ton of movement where you've got a lot of, okay, this part's twisting back in this direction, and then this part's coming towards you again, but going up, you know, and then this part's coming over, still coming towards you, and then spiraling back around. And then this part's coming around, but still towards you again, and then back up and over. So it's really moving through space. It's something that I love to create, and I love to do it with dragons and snakes as well, is really play off of, you know, that whole overlapping dimensional area to create that sense of depth and movement. To really show, you know, okay, maybe this part of the body is way pushed back. So I know that that's going to be super vague when I go to shade it to allow the head to stand out more. This part's going to be still pretty vague, but this is all still in the background and the midground. This part's going to be detailed because it's way in the foreground. This part's going to be detailed because I want that to be on the same plane as this, you know, so everything else is going to have a little bit less detail. Helps me really bring the focus in line with what I'm really trying to get people to look at.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that section where it's curves around many different directions. It's like creates you know, some motion or movement in the tattoo, and it like just looks cool. Period. To, you know, the end of the tail. That's neat, man.
Yeah, it creates a little bit of rhythm.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's neat. I think I'll just have to practice this a little bit. I got it like going around just a curve, but I think when it starts to curve like in a more complex way, I'm gonna have to mess around with that kind of idea before I get it down. But I got the basic part of it, I think. I did it like just a little bit like here. Okay, so I got one curve. I got one curve.
Starting to get it.
I'll have to mess around with it more and yeah, see if I can get serious curves going on or something. But yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. You'll notice as you adjust the angles of that diagonal grid, it's actually going to adjust the taper of the scales as well.
Okay.
So if you want them long and pointy, you want them at more of an extreme tapered angle. You know, if you want them a little bit more boxy or a little bit more rounded, you can leave them more squared out.
I get it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep.
Yeah.
They'll start to flatten out and get, you know, wider at parts, I guess. And okay.
Yeah, we have Akshay joining us from India. What's going on, Akshay?
Oh, cool.
Hello, sir. What's up?
How's it going?
Good, sir. Good. It's been so long since I haven't been onto these group sessions from last 1 month. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, we haven't really seen a whole lot of you.
Yes, sir. I was a little bit busy with my tattoo scenes over here, and also I was traveling last week. So that's why, sir.
Yeah,
How are you doing,
I mean,
sir?
we all have life that goes on, you know, it's life.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, sir. Crazy. Sir, I'm working on this design.
Oh, wow. Let's spotlight you and we'll take a look at that. Oh, wow. Look at that, dude. That is awesome.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So this is the cover up that I was planning from last few months.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's gonna be great, dude.
Yeah.
This one, sir. So like I
Yeah,
have
there you
decided
go.
I will put some whites and also like black pattern and then like cover this whole thing up.
That's gonna be
That looks
pretty
good.
awesome, man.
Crazy, sir.
Yeah, especially if you go through and you use some of those like super light opaque grays or some whites. You know, if it's a more toned down area, you may want to stick with something more like a lighter, like a 20% opaque gray. If you plan on putting any kind of white highlights in the design anywhere, that way it's really going to allow those white highlights to really come forward. You know, because you want to use white sparingly as you can. But sometimes I'll substitute in like a lighter value opaque gray for cover ups because that tends to lend it, it'll still lighten it up a bit more, but it won't be pure white and it won't stand out quite as much. So that might be one way to think about, you know, utilizing that.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I will definitely use the opaque in this cover up.
Yeah. I mean, different people out there, you know, have different philosophies on things. I find that most opaque grays that I've used work really well. You know, and it's sometimes you have to use them if you want to go through and someone wants a black and gray cover up. You know, it's like, all right, well, let me break out those opaques. You know, because other than that, you can't. Black and gray is not really going to work too well as a cover up.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I get people coming to me all the time and they're like, they'll show me this picture of this super light value, like lion or a flower. And they're like, I want to get this super dark tribal that I got when I was 16 covered up with this super light value lion head. And it's like, I don't think that's going to work the way you think.
Yeah, they always want that.
I know. And it's like,
the, you know, and it's a tattooed, you know, done somewhere. It's a street looking type of a thing. But somehow they got the black to stick in real good but it looks like hell.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Always a challenge. I think I might actually take a different approach. I may actually end up turning this snake into a painting. Haven't quite decided yet, but
That sounds cool. What would you use to paint? What kind of paint?
so I work primarily in liquid acrylic and
cool.
liquid watercolor. A lot of Dr. P.H. Martin's, which I cannot get enough of. I love their stuff. If you like to work in old school flash, or if you like to paint on paper, which is what I prefer.
I do too. It's nice.
Oh, dude, they're so beautiful and vibrant, and they just flow so well. You know, you can build layer on layer and layer and layer, or you can use them pretty opaque, straight out of the bottle. I like to dilute mine a little bit and build layer upon layer to get different kinds of effects. But they are beautiful.
What are the name of that again? I forget it.
So they've got Dr. P.H. Martin's is the name of the company, and they've got a radiant watercolor set, which are super vibrant, super bright. Like 1 or 2 drops is enough for like every painting. Like they're highly concentrated. Awesome. The problem with those is that they're not light fast. So if you don't coat your painting afterwards with some kind of an ultraviolet resistant clear coat, it's going to fade and the color will change.
Oh, okay.
Their hydrous colors are a lot better and they're a lot more stable as far as their light fastness. Highly recommend those. Or you can get their Spectralite, which are liquid acrylic. And when they dry, they're 100% permanent, light fast. They can dilute pretty easily. Well, some of the colors can, but You know, it's just what I really prefer to work with. Sometimes I'll break out some actual like liquid, like fluid acrylics that are a bit
Yeah.
more opaque, but
Yeah, those are cool. I like that. Yeah. I got ones that are called, there's a company called Golden that makes acrylic paint.
yep.
Yeah, so I got some of the liquid acrylics from them just because that's what they had at the store close to me. So, but I like them. There was an Alpha 6 Corporation that makes them, and Craig Driscoll uses them. He did a seminar type thing on reinventing the tattoo. I think it was reinventing the tattoo, but it was with Guy, and it was really cool to watch. So then I went out and got some, but they weren't that brand. They were Golden acrylics. But yeah, they're cool, man. They're cool. You can work pretty efficiently with them. They
Oh,
go,
absolutely.
they go quick. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I love them, man. I've got plenty of the Golden brand fluid acrylics as well. And
Yeah, I like that.
I actually reached out to Craig Driscoll on Instagram, you know,
Nice.
looking at his paintings, like always admiring the work that he's done. And I was asking him like, oh, hey, like what brand are you using? You know, because everything that you do is buttery smooth, right? And just super bold and graphic. And he's like, oh man, you got to try these out. They're amazing, you know. So I haven't bought any just yet, but it's on my list to buy in the next couple of days. Is I want to pick up one or two and just play around with them.
Yeah.
You know, and see if I like them and see if I can thin them out a little bit or see if, you know, they're a bit more opaque. You know, just play around with them. I'm always down to try new things and new paints and techniques. So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to, maybe we can get a hold of him and see if there's a way to watch that little seminar again. It was really cool to watch him do it in the process. I took notes, but then I never really did his process exactly. I'll have to ask him maybe, see if we can rewatch and see him do it again. It was cool.
I mean, we could probably, you know, let me reach out to him. I might be able to talk him into doing like a live painting seminar, you know, for the Reinventing the Tattoo crew. You know, and have it be like a live on-demand seminar and, you know, just go through and watch his process and try to figure out what he's doing, what he's painting on, because I find that has a lot to do with the outcome of the piece. You know, if you're painting on something like unfinished, untreated, unsealed wood, you're going to have a very different look than if you're working on something like, you know, a cotton-based rag paper. You know, so depending on what surface you're painting on could have a completely different effect. I prefer more absorbent surfaces. And I'm actually wondering if I still have yeah, I do. So if you're like me and you like to work more on absorbent surfaces, such as paper, but you like the flexibility of working on canvas, and let me switch my camera back to here. I picked some of this stuff up off of Amazon and I don't know how well you guys can see it, but it's called Daniel Smith watercolor ground or absorbent ground. Yeah, there we go. Daniel Smith watercolor ground. And they have this in titanium white, black, and transparent. This stuff is amazing. Now, if my camera can focus again, there we go. I started working on a painting. I coated a canvas with it to play around with and started working on, you know, like a little goldfish painting. It's turning out all right.
Oh, cool.
You know, I like working in more of like the graphic illustrative style. So I've just been playing around with it and it is pretty absorbent. I think if I did another coat or two of it, would probably work a little bit better. But it does seem to really absorb a lot of different things. I've tried FW fluid acrylics on it. That works well. I've tried Liquitex basics. Some of the Liquitex paint markers I've used on it. Copic marker works really well on it. So if you like working with graphic markers, you can now work on canvas, which is really, really cool because it's not going to beat up at all. It's going to lay in, soak in, and you can really see it. Yeah, it's got a lot of really cool properties to it. But if you prefer to work a little bit more of an opaque style, with not that many translucent layers, then, maybe it's not the right thing to get. But what I've started to notice is if I go back over the painting with the transparent ground that I have, which is sold in smaller jars, it really is transparent and it's just as absorbent. So it can allow you to do multiple layers of the same thing. One of the many issues I had when working with acrylic was after a while, after so many layers, it would almost kind of like gunk up a little bit, and it would make things a lot more difficult to lay down the way that you wanted it to. So by throwing a layer of the clear transparent on there, you get right back to the absorbency of like classic gesso, which has a little bit of that absorbency to it. It's not going to be like a completely flat opaque acrylic. So it's a little trick that I've been playing around with. Seems to be working well. As I get a little bit further on the painting, we'll be showing you guys some updates. But for now, it's moving along pretty well. I might actually switch over and start working on that instead of this snake for a little bit.
Does
I was
it
having a
cause
lot
any
of
kind of
fun.
drying time issues? Like, is
So
that
it does
what the
dry
buildup
pretty
is?
quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that absorbent ground that I was talking about, it dries pretty fast. It's just like an acrylic or a gesso. So 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the outside, if you're not using any kind of an extender. But because it is a coating that you can put on canvas, even raw canvas, you can use it as gesso. It's amazing. I wouldn't want to use it as gesso. It's way too expensive for that. But yeah, like that's not the kind of stuff that you would want to buy in a gallon jug, because it would make the gallon jug of standard acrylic gesso just way too expensive. So it is a little pricey, but I really like the effect that it gives me. So maybe it's worth a shot. Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to grab some of my paints and start painting on that in a little bit.
So is that product like a sort of prime the paper, or is it more of a medium to mix when you're using paint?
So it's what you would use to prime your surface. And you can actually use it on anything from aluminum and copper, glass, wood panels. Works really well on wood panels. I've tried it on glass. It works well on glass. It's a little bit weird, but it works.
All right.
But it's a surface
cool.
prep coating. So.
All right. Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to try that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I always like to mess around with different types of surfaces, and I don't know, it's just fun. Just gives you a little bit of a different effect.
It can look cool too. Like I have a friend that paints on odd surfaces, and he'll find maybe, an old cutting board or just weird stuff. And I don't know how he finds them, but yeah, it looks cool when you have stuff like that. It's different.
Yeah, it gives it a different look.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolute shame that Liquitex doesn't really expand their acrylic paint marker selection anymore. These things have been an absolute lifesaver.
Oh, cool.
Liquitex paint markers, and they cut acrylic painting time in a third for me, because I'm kind of indecisive. So maybe it's just me, who knows? See if I can zoom out. Don't really know how well you guys can see this, but
Yeah, that looks good.
yeah, it's moving along.
Mhm.
Actually started playing around with some tattoo pigments.
Oh,
Actually
really?
painting with tattoo pigments.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice little addition that you know, sometimes when you're really trying to get things to look the way you want them to look, especially when you're trying to correlate with like, you know, making it look like it's tattooable, if you actually have the pigment that you can tattoo with and you can use that in certain aspects of it, I think it just gives it a really super cool effect. You know, because I mean, Eternal makes what, 200 and some odd different colors now,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And if you can paint with those, that's more than any acrylic paint company will put out,
Yeah.
right? Every shade and value of red you could ever need is supplied by Eternal. So I don't know. It's just a little painting hack that I've kind of picked up. Tends to work all right. I mean, I think this is coming along pretty well. So
Yeah, that looks awesome, man.
yeah, I'm just debating on how saturated I want the color to be for like the waves in the background.
Ah, okay.
And then I'm probably going to need to throw some more dark into like some of these areas to really push the
Okay.
contrast so that it doesn't blend together.
Okay.
Yeah, these little Pentel water brushes that I picked up have been my secret weapon in painting for quite a few years. They are absolutely amazing for just like blending and fading out different colors.
I forgot about those things. They are neat. They have the water inside.
Yep. You fill
That's
up the
cool.
handle and next thing you know, you can fade out and blend out whatever you're working
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, those are neat, man. I think I saw them on a James Gurney video. He was doing like little ones, little paintings. And yeah, they're really cool, man. Convenient.
Yeah, I was talking with Dave Tevenaugh down in Puerto Rico a couple years ago at the Puerto Rico show, and watching him work with these and work with
Oh,
like
wow.
some tombos was like an unbelievable thing.
Are Tombo's markers?
Yes, tombos are a type
Uh,
of water-based marker,
oh,
and if that's what he usually, from what I've seen, does for his like black and gray undertones, is he'll take
okay.
those and he'll use those for, you know, his black and gray, and give it plenty of time to dry, and he'll go right over top of it with like Copic or Prismacolor markers, or you know, maybe some like Pentel gray wash pens, whatever. But you have to give them a decent amount of time to dry before you can go back over it. Otherwise, you're going to
Mm.
pick it right back up, and that's not very good.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's you know, just finding little tiny bits of quick ways to do some of these things and get them to look the way that you want. That's half the adventure of painting and drawing, right? Finding the
Yep.
little tools that make the difference. Yeah, I can't wait for the Paradise BYOB, man. It's going to be such a blast.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for that. It'll be fun to get out of town and do something cool and hang out with you guys and all that. Learn some, get in like art zone, art mode. Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't seen Gabe in a long time. That'll be neat. Yeah, yeah, I'm stoked,
Yeah.
man. My
If
wife
it
went
wasn't
away
for
to
a month or
Florida.
two ago, then I would be able to sit here and say, oh, hey, yeah, I've never actually met him. But he
Oh,
actually
okay.
stopped by my house one time in the middle
Rad.
of one of these Sunday afternoon drawing groups.
Haha, that's
Totally had
awesome.
no idea he was coming by.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah, we went out to breakfast a little while later, and I actually got to catch up. Super nice guy,
Yeah,
super
he
awesome
is.
dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really, really stoked with a lot of the stuff that we're putting together and how we're doing things, and just some of the progress that we're all making. I think it's absolutely phenomenal how one community of artists came together and really started to influence a lot of different aspects of art.
Yeah, it's fun to get together and learn things. I don't really work with anyone else most of the time, so it's cool to like get influences from, you know, I know. Well, now I have a few notes just from today of how to, or how to do that snake pattern and some of these materials you've been working with and stuff like that. So yeah, it's fun to have a class and just get together and yeah, get pointers, get tips, and yeah, share things. It's cool, man.
Yeah, it's all about the sharing of knowledge, right?
Yep.
In the past, however many years, knowledge was one of those things that most guys were like, no, you can't teach them anything, right? That's our secret. That's how we're making money. And it's like,
Right, right.
but why
They said
don't you
get
want that
out of
friendly
here.
competition? Right?
Yeah, right. Well, the cat's out of the bag now. It's a lot different, than it
Oh
was back
yeah.
than 20 or 30 years ago. It's really different. Or so it
Yeah.
seems to me.
Oh no, it absolutely is, man. And I think it's amazing because when you really sit down and look at it, 30 years ago, you didn't have guys that were putting out the kind of quality work that, people are capable of today. You
Nope.
didn't have art school guys that were going through and getting master's degrees in illustration or working as professional concept artists right out of high school that then decided to get into tattooing. But you do now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that changed.
So, I mean, a
People,
lot of things have changed in the past few decades. And a lot of it, in my opinion, is for the good. I mean, yeah, competition's a lot more stiff now, but I mean, from my experience, competition's always been stiff. But I also work in an area that's very heavily saturated with some absolutely incredible artists.
yeah, because it can be a motivational thing, It's like if the guy, you got somebody down the street, all of a sudden it's really, really good. It's kind of like, oof, I gotta get my I gotta sharpen my skills and it can be a healthy thing, you know.
I agree, and it's like, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, wow, I really do have to bust my butt, you know?
Yep.
If I
Yep.
want to make any money doing this, knowing that you know, Rich Wren works 10 minutes away, right? Well, if I want to do
Yep.
neo-trad tattoos, I need to be on my A game.
Yep.
If I want to do color portraits, Paul Acker works 45 minutes away from me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Paul
You
Ecker.
know,
Okay.
oh,
Yep.
well, maybe I should do traditional tattoos. Well, Mike Chambers is from Philadelphia and opened up
Oh,
Seven Swords in Philadelphia.
that's right. Yep.
There's competition there. So it doesn't matter
Mhm.
what genre you do. There's stiff competition where I live for doing good tattoos. So you really have to know your stuff. I
Yeah.
enjoy it though. I enjoy that
Mhm.
struggle and that push to keep learning more and doing better. Like I thrive on it. It's what I love.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno made a comment. What are those pens called, Jason? You're using it over a Copic marker to blend, right? So these pens are the Liquitex paint markers, acrylic paint markers. Don't know if you can actually see that well or not. And then these are just Pentel water brush pens. And these are what I'm using to just kind of blend things out. See if I can get a better shot of this, what I'm working on. Don't know if that that explains it or not.
So you're blending over top.
Yeah, I laid down, I started out with a little bit of a lighter value of teal for this background, just to
Okay.
kind of lay it down and block in some light values of colors. And now I'm going back over it with the acrylic paint markers to just blend it out and get a little bit of a darker tone in there, create a little bit more
Okay.
contrast.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and this water pen is literally just filled with water. I know some people that'll buy these aqua pens or water brush pens in bulk, and they'll take little dropper bottles of things like Doc Martens or golden fluid acrylics, like the really, really watery ones. They'll literally just fill these things up with whatever they get their hands on. I know some people used to fill them up with like oil painters would fill them up with linseed oil.
Wow.
They can really work with any kind of a liquid medium. It just depends on, how creative you are with it. If you want to fill them up with turpentine or turpenoid, or I wouldn't recommend using liquid. I think that's a little too thick. I don't think that's going to flow through the bristles well. But I mean, you could very easily put, lamp oil or linseed oil in these things for oil painting and use those almost as a blender.
Jason, do you know if you're taking any of the seminars or attending any group events up at the Paradise BYOB? I don't really know
I am indeed.
all
And
of them.
there's several that I'm still kind of debating on, but
right.
I wanted to get into Jake Meek's Find Your Style seminars, but I'm
Yeah.
actually also doing a live broadcast on Sunday afternoons up
Okay.
there, and that conflicts with the first part. So I want to reach out to him to see if it's really going to matter. If I can only attend one out of the two, or if it's recommended that I attend both.
Okay.
I'd love to sit in on Mike DeVries 3D seminar. I think that would be really enlightening.
Yeah.
They have, I forget the traditional Flash seminar. I'd love to sit in on that, because
Oh,
I
that sounds
love,
cool.
as much as I love working with and painting in more of a neo-traditional style,
Mhm.
I also really, really love doing traditional Flash. I think it's almost becoming like a lost art. And,
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun just simplifying everything that you're doing down into absolute basics, knowing what information to keep and what information that you don't really need. If you're just trying to grab the essence of, say, a fish, or the essence of a panther, or, whatever, the essence of an eagle, what information should you keep, and what information is nice to have, but not necessary to convey what it is. That, and it's kind of how I was brought up in tattooing, right? I was brought up doing flash sheets and, working on flash designs and getting that stuff together. So to me, it's kind of nostalgic in a way.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That sounds like a fun one. I would do that. It'd be a cool one. I never did a ton of that kind of thing, but I like it, and I'd like to learn more about it. Yeah, I didn't have a traditional background with tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really either, but I was very heavily influenced by a lot of people that did.
Yeah.
I went through, for lack of a better term, 3 separate apprenticeships, which is kind of sad, but the first one was cool and it taught me a lot about what not to do. And then I went through another one that, kind of took me in the right direction and got me some more hands-on time. And then I went through a third one on tattoo machines and building and tuning and everything that's involved with that. So, but the whole
That's
time,
cool.
none of it was very traditional as far as like sitting down with an artist saying, no, 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 move your hand like this, or, this is how you pull a line, do this, do this, do this. I never really got too much of that. A lot of it was, well, every artist is different.
Uh,
And it's like, well, that doesn't really help. Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, I always found that pretty interesting on the way that Jake could put it, that everybody's going to make marks different regardless. I was like, yeah, I get that, but I still need to know.
Yeah, there's a big difference between understanding your mark making and then understanding technique that's needed in order to create said marks.
Right.
Right. There's a big difference between knowing how to sculpt and build your lines, right? And then knowing how to even get a good line to stay in.
Right. Huge difference.
Right. One's more based off of artistic technique and one is more based off of, actual like technical ability and actual tattoo technique. How to pack solid fields of solid color, right? That's going to be very different than, okay, well, what colors are you using?
Right.
So and a lot of times I feel like some people just get a little bit confused with that.
Yeah.
They get confused with, well, what do they really mean?
Right. Right. Wording the question properly.
Correct. But I picked up other things from just traveling around and going to different conventions, watching different guys work. That was an absolutely enlightening thing for me to watch, to go and watch Mike Rubendahl, who was tattooing right down the same aisle from Nico Hurtado and Dean Sacred from New Zealand, right? And how these guys are masters in their field. And each one of them moves their hand differently, doing different things with different materials. But they can all lay down a solid tattoo.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, how does this guy's technique differ from this guy's technique? That's and what's their process like? Are they starting, shading first? Are they outlining everything and then going into it? Are they doing a whole bunch of gray lines? Are they blocking in solid tones like they're painting and then detailing later? Or are they going through and literally working an area to completion and then moving on from there?
Right.
Right. Then you have other guys that'll hop around into different areas, right? They'll do a bit in this area and then let that calm down while they're working over here. And then they'll let that calm down while they're working over here. And then they'll let that calm down while they're working over here. Then they'll go back into that first area again and then hop around almost in like a star pattern.
Right.
Right. Kind of like you're changing the lugs on a tire. So, start over here and then work your way up to here and then down to here and then over to here and then over to here and then back to where you started. Right?
Given that little time of unflow.
Oh, so Daniel just sent a little chat message saying your finger waves are really killer. Do you have a method for laying those out? Yes, I do. It's a little bit unorthodox, but essentially it involves 3 days worth of sleep deprivation, a whole bunch of coffee, and I just go out to my yard and I try not to pick the lethal mushrooms, but I just pick whatever ones I can find and I'll eat those. And no, I'm joking, obviously.
Just lay down and let your hand go.
Yeah, I can go over some finger wave things real quick. Especially while that little area dries. Let me hook my iPad back up again and we'll draw some finger waves because I love finger waves. It's something that I thought I was pretty good at them for a little while. And then I sat in on Andre Malcolm's wave seminars.
Yeah.
And started to incorporate some of the things that he was teaching in that. And then started to look at and ask different people how they draw theirs. And it was, obviously everyone's got their own little tricks and techniques for drawing finger waves, which is cool. And I've kind of developed my own little version of how to do it. So let me pull this up and get this hooked up. Cool. All right, so I usually like to start out with a direction or a flow, right? Let's do, cool, pencil, big, make that a little bit bigger. So let's say I want to draw, waves crashing, moving in this kind of a direction, right? Well, kind of crashing up and around this way. I'll actually start out by drawing almost like a big S. So I'll start out coming down here, and then I'll bring that down and around. Mostly just because I think everything is based off of S curves. Right? And then that way you can really see like a crashing wave momentum. Maybe this will come up into another layer. Maybe you'll bring it up and then you'll cap it off so that it's got a directional flow, right? So that you can see, oh, this water is really moving in this direction. Some people, if you like to draw multiple layers of waves, then what you're going to want to do is instead of capping it off like that and adding like a backflow, you're literally just going to want to keep this moving in this upwards direction. And then you would have like another layer of waves over here. So I always start with like this weird like S shape first. And then I'll start out by drawing varying branches. So I'll start out with just basic flow forms, right? Making sure that my direction is good, making sure that things aren't pointing in the same direction because they should never be pointing in the same direction, which is something that I find a lot of people that struggle with doing waves end up doing a lot, is they'll have this, and then they'll have one in the exact same arc right next to it. And you should never have more than one branch of a finger wave going in the exact same direction. They should always be in a different direction. What that does is it creates rhythm, but flow, and it gives you a sense that the water is actually moving. So I'll take this one and I'll bring that down. So now it might have a little bit of the same curl, but it's definitely got a different angle in here. This is going to curl around, so it's going to be much tighter. This, I'm going to start out even further and bring it back to a centralized point. So it's still got the same movement, but once again, this angle is a little bit different. Same thing here. This is where you really start to see the branching out.
I gotta run. my tattoo appointments here.
Cool.
We'll see
Have a
y'all
good one,
later.
Atomic.
Most
Yep, see you later.
definitely, y'all too.
Later, man.
You know, and then I'll go back through and I'll look and I'll make sure that none of them are really pointing and none of them are parallel. I think that's what I was really trying to get at. None of them should ever be parallel. They should always be a little bit different. You know, like this guy, I'm going to go back through and redraw it so that it's not quite as similar as this one. Okay, so now I've got like my basic structure. From the basic structure, I always like to do a branch. So I'll add in a secondary for all of these. You know, and if I really want them to be super crazy big and multi-layered, you can always add a third branch off of the tips, right? I didn't do that in that painting, but it's one way to really add some more depth and dimension to it. We'll just stick with 2 for now. Now that I have my basic structure, I'm going to go through and let's do. Then I'll do another layer over top of it and turn the opacity down a little bit. So from here, I'm literally just going to drag it around and make some little squiggle marks. And then I always like to add like these tiny little bumps from where it's crusting over. I think it gives it a little bit more character and motion. I'll add another one here, and then another one here. You know, it keeps them a little bit more on the traditional side, but it still gives them a little bit more of like a newer kind of not so traditional feel. And remember, water is organic. It's not regulated. It's not rhythmic. It's not systematic in any kind of a respect. So it doesn't really matter what these little bumps look like, as long as they're structured correctly. You can do layer upon layer upon layer and branch upon branch, as long as you have the right weight to them. And by weight, I mean this part here should always be bigger than this part here, right? You should never have a situation that you run into where this part, say the tip of it, is like this big, right? And coming in, because that just looks weird and that's not the way water works. So always try to make sure that everything tapers out as it moves out, right? So this should always be thicker than here, should always be thicker than here. You know, understanding that and that kind of a structure, same thing with here, right? This is a little bit too small, so I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, because otherwise that's not going to look right. It's not going to be proportional. Right, so I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, because as this comes down, that looks like it can support that structure a little bit more. Now I'm going to go through and we'll add another one and then another one here. Sometimes I'll keep the tops of these waves a little bit smoother, just to get a different kind of an effect. Think about drawing a finger, right? If you're drawing a finger, the top is always going to be smoother than the underside where you have the pads of the finger, right? So if you go in that kind of a respect, it's going to give it almost like a natural line weight contrast when you draw them, which can really be a defining moment. You know, once again, that was not structured correctly. So I'm going to go back through and make this a little bit bigger. You know, maybe I want to add like a little bit of a branch off of this little part. Once again, that doesn't look like it fits right, mostly because this is too small and it's not at the right angle. Or actually it was too big. But if I come here and then bring that around, maybe we'll make this one super skinny, right? That looks a little bit better. Once again, you try not to make your points or these directional lines too parallel, because that's going to throw everything off and it's going to make it look too static. You want to make sure that everything's got a very different kind of flow and feel to it. Right? So now that this isn't parallel to this, I know that's going to look even better. Now over here, if I'm going to do that, you know, maybe I'm going to bring this around. Now here's where my real trick to waves comes in. Not that I'm, you know, a master at them or anything. I'll do one more little segment and then I'll show you the little trick that I use to really kind of define the forms. Let's do that. Think of drawing waves like building with Legos, as silly as that sounds. Anytime you're moving back across the top ridge, you always want to add another layer and make it a little bit wider. Right, so you're just adding another Lego onto the top to help support that structure. Now here's where my little like final trick to waves to really make them look awesome. Technical pen. Make this a little bit less bold. I actually just do like literally like loop to loops, right? Smooth on top and then back around. It gives it a little bit more of an edge. You know, so there's two and then around. Here's there, boom, boom.
I like the sound effects. Boom, boom.
Right? Well, I mean, you have to make those sound effects. That's what really makes those waves look like waves. It's the sound effects when you draw them. That's my super secret, right?
Have you always done that since you were young? Because I remember doing that when I was young. I was young too, and I'd make sounds that the things would make. Yeah. That's funny.
Yep. It's all about the sound effects, folks. It doesn't matter your artistic ability. If you use the right sound effects, everything that you draw will look amazing. You know, the reason why I always try to do like little scribbly bumps at the bottoms of these waves, and I don't really worry about these too much, is because it doesn't really matter, because you can always go back through and smooth them out later if you want to. But it is a good indicator to let you know, like, oh, hey, here's a cool bump. Let's add that in, right? Here's a cool bump. Bump, bump, bump. Smooth it out. Right now, this looks way out of place, right? Because now this is smaller than all of this. So we're gonna turn this little bump into another little crest. and then bring that more in line with it. You know, try to keep them as small and as thin as you can towards the tips, and make the tips way longer than you think they need to be, because it really gives them more of like a flow. You can see how this really looks like it's really stretched out. It's really crashing around. Anywhere that you have like a little secondary or maybe a little impromptu kind of finger wave coming off of it, don't bring that line all the way back over. So don't bring this all the way back over. It's not going to look right to cap it off like that. Start out here. And then small bump back down. And then this way you can kind of see that all of this is one big wave. Sometimes when I bring these little additional waves down, I'll do one of these little S curves at the top. Bring that back down, and then this guy will come back around as well. You know, sometimes I'll do like a little intermediary bump in the top of the wave. You know, if I'm really feeling like being, you know, super fancy. You know, once again, I'm going to really extend this guy out. Just so you can see the difference in like the different ways that you can tip them off. So these are a little bit more blunt, right? And we're working our way up to a bit sharper and longer. You see a lot of the very long, very skinny, very complex waveforms in places like Taiwan, right? Gimme Love Tattoo is like one of my all-time most inspirational like studios out there. And I believe that one's based in Taiwan. But it's like the waves that come out of that place from every single artist there are incredible. They've just got this amazing flow and simplicity. So I really started modeling a lot of the waves that I draw off of the way that they do them. And it really works well. You know, sometimes if I have a line like this that kind of cuts in front of that, sometimes I'll just bring it around. And that automatically makes this a second layer, right? If I did the same thing here, that would make that another layer. But that's how you also will bring these finger waves down to show the flow from where that water is moving from. Okay, so now we've got that nice curl going on, and this curl can be brought all the way back up and around if you really want to give it some depth. There are other people that'll take it and they'll drag it off into, you know, wherever. Sometimes they'll cap them off with like little curved ends. You know, there's different ways to do it. If you really want to add more of like a neo-trad kind of effect to them, what you would want to do is start out inside this bigger wave area, draw your curl around, right? Almost like this was going to connect to that. And then as that curl comes around, almost do a teardrop shape, a very elongated teardrop shape. From there, you can always add like another little layer, depending on the perspective you want, you know, and then that'll give you that negative space area. You know, maybe I want to do another one here, right? And then this will come around a little bit. You know, maybe I'll add another little guy there. And then in here, this is like all of those little negative space areas like you can see on that fish that I drew, the goldfish painting. That's all this is. They're just like little odd shaped teardrop areas, almost like windows. And that's really going to show you essentially just like everything that's behind those waves. A lot of it just comes from practice and experimentation. But when you really start to break things down like this, you can eliminate a lot of those little like common errors that people make when they first start out drawing finger waves. So that's just a couple of the little tricks I've picked up. If you have any other questions, or if you really wanted to get a little bit more in depth with it, shoot me a message on Instagram, man. We'll set up a time and, you know, we'll really start going over some stuff. Cool. Awesome. Well, it's getting to be about that time, folks. I got to get running in just a few minutes. So if we want to, let's go through and start doing a couple of quick little sign-offs. Rod, why don't you start for us?
Okay, let me flip this thing around. Here we go. All right, here, I'll show my picture. I did a little progress, so I don't know. I'll chip away later. But yeah, just working on a street scene. But hey, I'm Rod Graybill. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I do tattoos here. And if you want to look me up, it's at Thelonious Prime, at Thelonious Prime on Instagram, and you could Google my name too, or Facebook. You know, look me up, Rod Graybill. Thanks for having me today, Jason. This is fun, man.
It's always a pleasure having you on, man. Always is.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Appreciate it.
Cool. You're very welcome. Melissa, you want to go ahead and give us a quick little sign off?
Hey guys, Melissa Sink. You can find me out in Staten, Oregon. Instagram is MAC_MISSA, Macmissa. I do all sorts of different stuff, but I prefer bigger work. So if you're interested and you're in town, send a message. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you very much for jumping in here. And I'll go through and start closing everything out. So thank you everyone for joining us today on the Sunday afternoon drawing group here at the Reinventing the Tattoo community. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on here. And for anyone that isn't aware of the Reinventing the Tattoo canon, which I personally have a subscription to and I pay for it and all that stuff, and it's absolutely unbelievably phenomenal. You know, there's a PDF floating around somewhere that, you know, was, you know, scanned or ripped off from someone. A lot of the information in that isn't exactly up to date, but what we've been doing at Reinventing the Tattoo is going through and updating everything. So if you're looking for the latest information, if you're looking for the most up-to-date knowledge, and if you're looking for a lot of new advanced stuff, get a subscription to Reinventing the Tattoo. It's less than $1 a day. You can't really beat that for a year. I mean, and if that's still too much for you, I've got a little discount code I'll splash up on the screen. It'll give you 10% off. So that'll bring it down to, I think, $270 or something like that. Go through and check it out. If you have questions about color theory, if you have questions about line work, if you have questions about composition, or how to get some of your stuff to be a little bit more prominent or add a little bit more focus or more depth and dimension to your tattoos. If you've got questions about consultations or Procreate, I'm helping Guy write a whole bunch of stuff on Procreate for the Reinventing the Tattoo canon. Go ahead. It's reinventingthetattoo.com/next level. And that'll give you an extra 10% off. If that's not enough of an incentive, I don't know what is. But it's well worth the investment. It's well worth the time. And you get access to go through and do live drawing classes with Guy every Monday night. That alone is worth that much money, right? I got the subscription in November and have been joining every Monday night drawing class I can possibly attend. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, if you look at some of the work I've been doing over the past year, you can clearly see an improvement in what I've been doing. So that's all I really have for you today. My name is Jason Leeser. You can catch me on Instagram at Philly Inc. If any of you are from the New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Philadelphia area, or anywhere in Jersey, I think I already said Jersey though, feel free to reach out to me. I work at a studio right in the suburbs of Philadelphia at the Inkwell Tattoo in Southampton, Pennsylvania. And I'm always looking for new awesome projects to take on. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And this is the point in the show where everyone likes to hold up a cup or a glass or make a funny face, give a peace sign, something like that. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Take care.